So racism, I would define it as a collection of racist policies that lead to racial inequity that are substantiated by racist ideas.
That's true.
Anti-racism is pretty simple using the same terms. Anti-racism is a collection of anti-racist policies leading to racial, anybody want to take a guess? Equity that are substantiated by anti-racist ideas.
Come again? Who uses the definition of a word to define the word? And notice the laughter when he first said it, and I'll tell you why. Because people thought he was joking.
What's going on, everyone? It's Talks with Kendi here today. We're going to have a good analysis today. So context here. Ibram X Kendi has been one of to me, he's the biggest offender of people who I call, black conservatives will call race hustlers, right? Using racism as a hustle, as a means of gaining wealth, status, influence, right? To act like they're a pseudo intellectual, right? And I open up with that intro in the beginning is because Larry Elder is someone I highly respect, right? He's the reason I found out about Thomas Sowell, Walter Williams, and other black conservative thinkers, I guess. And one of the biggest missed opportunities that I believe Ibram X Kendi deprived of black America was not to debate Larry Elder. And I remember I did a video months ago, I think when I first started this channel. I might link it in my recommended videos at the end of this video. But I remember talking about how, this is such a wasted opportunity that Ibram X Kendi missed. Like, he could give himself so much credibility if he could hold his own against Larry Elder, but no, he didn't. Here's a clip of what I'm talking about, and then I'll get into the news story about Boston University announcing an inquiry against its anti-racist center. Let's take a look.
Only in America can a black victocrat like Ibram Henry Rogers change his name to Ibram X Solani, I guess, Kendi, and become wealthy by telling white people how they prevent black people from becoming wealthy. Is this a great country or what? To which Mr. Kendi responded. So Mr. Kendi slams me while referring to my show as a minstrel show. Minstrel show? All right, Professor Kendi, it's on. So I invited him on my nationally syndicated radio show to discuss this. His response? My retort? Indeed, why does the bologna avoid the grinder? But my invitation caught the attention of both Breitbart and The Blaze. Wow, somebody who calls himself an anti-racist slams me by using, racism.
Why does it mean so? It shows that this guy was hustling. Like, to me, if you can't properly define your words, and when you hear someone who disagree with you, and you can't give an articulate reason or give a clear reason why you believe the things you believe, it's very hard for a rational person or a thinker like me to take you seriously, right? And it seems like Boston University has finally announced that they'll inquiry into his anti-racist center. The inquiry came shortly after massive layoffs at the center. So he laid off a bunch of people because I guess they weren't doing no work, right? And this smells like, BLM, right? Because the whole point of a think tank is to find research to kind of validate your conclusions or theories about something, right? So let's get into the news article, and then I kind of give more of my thoughts on the matter. Boston University announced Wednesday that it would conduct an inquiry into a doctor. I don't know why he's a doctor, but hey, whatever. Ibram X Kendi Center for Antiracist Research amid complaints about its culture. Oh, imagine that. You see how he treated people who disagree. You see how he treated Larry Elder. He called him a minstrel show. And this is the kind of backlash black conservatives have been getting all their lives. And ain't working with the younger ones because we've seen it. And we're like, yo, they still don't have an argument, though. That's all you showed us. Like, when you call us names, when you call black conservatives minstrel shows or coons and all this stuff, it just shows to me that you don't have an argument. And it speaks more about you as an individual than Larry Elder. But hey, you know, I'm talking like I'm talking to Kendi directly. But hey, I digress. The inquiry will be a brighter version of a previous examination looking at the center's grant management practices. A spokesperson for Boston University told the Boston Globe. Already making himself rich, right? The inquiry also came shortly after layoffs at the center. Kendi recently laid off 20 employees, more than half the center staff, the university confirmed last week. Why are you strapped for cash, Mr. Ibram? Kendi, a prominent critical race scholar, okay, a scholar that can't define racism, okay. A scholar that thinks racism is disproportional impact when racism is supposed to be discriminating or a prejudice based on race, solely on race. That means you can't do nothing because of your race. That's racism, right? I have a negative opinion of you solely because of your race. That's racism. But to this guy, racism is disproportional outcomes. Oh, black people ain't as rich as white people, therefore it's racism. That's how he defines racism. This is why I have this position that critical race theory is garbage. Keep that away from my kids. Don't try to put this victim in, because all it is to justify and rationalize victimhood. And I just did a whole inconvenient truth about it. Maybe I'll put a link up here, but I digress. Has become an influential voice on anti-racism. How can you be anti-something when you can't clearly define it? As I could reference the intro of this video. Over the last several years, especially after his books, How to Be an Anti-Racist, became a New York Times bestseller in 2020, in the wake of George Floyd's death. And this is my biggest problem with these race hustlers, right? Two wrongs don't make a right. This man died wrongfully, but he didn't help his situation. That's my argument. I look at it very nuanced. How, imagine this person like him, Kendi, try to morally grandstand on people's grave, right? He's just like Al Sharpton. That's why I call Al Sharpton the same thing. Black man dying. Oh, his opportunity to push my I forgot my narrative, my propaganda. This is what you should believe. This is why it happened. Taking advantage of a man's death, grandstanding on a man's death. If Republicans don't do this, Republicans don't care, but they're using it for malicious ends. It's convenient he enriched himself off the deaths of black men. This is why I don't support. That's why I never supported Black Lives Matter, because I thought, yo, I ain't gonna do nothing. And then when I found out it was a scam, Shoot, I could have told you it was a scam. I seen it too many times. I came from the hood, bro. Yeah, I don't know, man. A lot of black people claim they come from the hood, but they don't really come from the hood. Because when you come from the hood, you know a finesse when you see one. But hey, I digress. Maybe people are not as street smart as they used to be. Social media is making us all dumb, apparently. He has drawn criticism for promoting the theory that all racial disparities are due to racism, which is a lie. Kendi has also faced criticism for his book, Anti-Racist Baby, a children's picture book that'll never... Bro, every time I see that book, I just walk right by it. I'm like, oh, hell no. You ain't gonna teach my kid this garbage, right? Racial disparities is due to racism. How about racial disparities is due to behavior? How about that? Because behavior drives outcomes, right? If I commit more crimes than another group of people, then of course I'm gonna be disproportionately more in jail than other people. If I'm only 13% of the population, but I'm committing 38, almost 40% of the crime, of course I'm going to be disproportionately represented in prison. But that's racism. Not because those individuals break laws and they happen to be black. No, it's because they're black. That's why they break laws. It's just excuses. Yes, exactly, son. So Kendi has also faced criticism. I already read that. The Center of Anti-Racism was established in June 2020, just days after George Floyd's death. Ooh, you see a pattern here? When Kennedy was hired as a history professor at Boston University, since then the center has raised more than tens of millions of dollars from donors, right? The center managed to accomplish certain projects, such as teaming up with Boston Globe to launch a digital publication called The Emancipator. However, many other projects have gone uncompleted, such as racial data tracker. I don't know how because Even in the court of law, I'll be right back. Give me a sec. Yeah, sorry about that. So racial data tracker, even like it's hard. It's hard to track racism. Like in the court of law, racism is hard to prove because essentially you have to prove that someone has prejudice over you solely because of the color of your skin. That's hard to prove. That's why they prefer the disproportional outcome metric. Is that's easier to prove than someone having prejudice against you, because essentially you're trying to find motive, and motive is hard to prove if there's no obvious evidence of that. That's why they focus on disproportional outcomes, which could be the nation's largest online database for racial inequality data in the United States, right? And I made a video about this. Like, racial inequality is due to behavior, man. Like, black people just make different decisions than other groups of people, right? One caveat I can link it to poverty is poverty has been associated with more single people than married people, right? If you're married, you're less prone to poverty than a single person. Which community has the largest rate of single motherhood in the nation? The black community. Is there any surprise black community is one of the poorest minority groups in America today? No, it's not. Right? Now, correlation doesn't equal causation, but there's a lot of myriad of factors that kind of validates my stance on this, right? You can also look at welfare too. Who's more dependent on welfare? Single women, single moms specifically. Who these programs are catered to? Single motherhood, like single moms, WIC, Section 8, food stamps. Come on, like I can find different ways to justify my assumptions about racial inequality, but that's just one example. So no one can sit here and flat out tell me, "Oh, Kenny, you're wrong. It's not because of behavior differences. It's because of racism." You ain't gonna prove that to me, because I'm gonna ask you what's more likely: a system is out to get black people, or black people making decisions that put them in a bad and compromising position. I mean, you can think for yourself, because I'm just telling you where I'm coming from. You guys make up your own mind about that. The center was being mismanaged on a really fundamental level, says Philip Karplin, a Boston University professor who worked at the center, told the Globe. Karplin skewed the center in Facebook posts on Sunday, saying that the layoffs amount to employment violence and trauma. Boston University needs to explain how one of its premier centers ended up in this situation, how mass layoffs are anti-racist. Wow. Using your very own language that you invented, and now these people are using it against you. Craziness. You love to see it. This act of employment violence and trauma is not just about individual leaders. It's about the culture and systems that allow it to occur. Kaplan wrote on Sunday. "I don't know where the money is," said Saida Grody, another Boston University professor who worked at the center. Kendi reportedly did not delegate authority, so he ran everything, which slowed the center's operations. Ugh, come on, bro. But man, like, this is the guy they paid $20,000 for a speaking fee. $20,000 not to be able to articulate what racism is, what you're actually anti about. Like, imagine that. You paying a guy $20,000 to go on stage and to tell you, with circular logic, using the definition of the word to define a word. I mean, it kind of like, the end of the day, you know a man by his fruit. You know a man by his actions. You know a man by his deeds. And this guy, bro, he's a pseudo intellectual. He's not smart at all. And I don't understand why people buy his books, but I think people buy his books for confirmation bias. White people, to know that, to give them this sense of feeling that, oh, we can save black people, and black people to justify their victimhood, even though they never experienced slavery or racism at the same extent that Martin Luther King and them experienced. That's my argument. My argument is millennials, Gen Z, we experience less racism than Gen X and baby boomers. And we shouldn't be trying to piggyback off the struggle of the previous generation, because we're not dealing with what the previous generation is dealing with. I digress. Let me know how you guys are taking the news. Do you think he's a scammer? You think he's misinformed? Do you think he's genuinely actually trying to be anti-racist, but it's just he don't know how to properly articulate it? I don't know. Maybe his heart is in the right place for all we know. But hey, I digress. I don't know what this guy, I don't know how people don't see that this guy don't know what he's talking about. I don't understand why this guy is even influential in the first place. I just think he says things that people want to hear to justify their own beliefs. I think that's all it is. He pretty much get paid to justify, just to be confirming people's bias. I think that's what he gets paid to do. But hey, you know, that's my thoughts. What's yours? And let me know in the comment section. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I really do appreciate you guys for watching to the end of the video, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.